one of the scariest stories to happen to me while riding the back roads of Appalachia. This was a story of when I was about 16 years old in a place called Jackson County, Tennessee, with my two cousins, Danny and Cody. So we were, teenagers, 16, 17 years old, and we were just out looking for trouble, looking for something to do in a small town that didn't have much of anything really. So we decided we were going to drive the back roads that night, steal some road signs, do a little, beer drinking while we were driving around, just in general, looking for something to get into. That's when my cousin Danny came up with a great idea to go knock on the witch's house. Now, the witch's house in Jackson County, Tennessee, when I was younger, was this old lady that lived next to an area called the Dirt Cave, and that's a time for a whole other video. But this road by the Dirt Cave was one of those gravel roads out in the middle of nowhere that you had to take 3 other middle of nowhere roads to even get to. No street lights, no cell phone service. We're talking dark back roads of the Appalachian hills, okay? This old house, I'm not even really sure if it had electricity or not. Everybody knew about the witch's house. It was on a dead-end road, and there was no reason to go down that road unless you lived there or you're going to the Dirt Cave, which is a pretty popular hangout spot. Now, this was pretty late at night. It was getting past, 11, midnight, somewhere in that range. I remember pretty well. It was just a Friday night. We were some dumb kids, and he dared me, or Cody, to go knock on the witch's house. And I looked up to Danny. He was a little bit older than me, so I couldn't back down. I had to go knock on this lady's door. Now, the witch that was out there pretty much kept to herself. She would go into town periodically when she needed supplies, so people caught glimpses of her. But she would literally have these rituals with like a giant cauldron, just like you'd imagine from the old stories and cartoons, out in her front yard. And she would have these massive bonfires. And she had like a little bit of a cult following around the town where sometimes 8 to 10 of these people would go out there and they'd do these chants. And I mean, they would sacrifice chickens, the whole 9 yards. This isn't just speculation. People would go out there all the time and try to catch them doing stuff, or they'd photograph them from the woods, or, from the road. And super creepy. And everybody would say that she would dispose of all the evidence and all the bodies into the Dirt Cave, which we'll get into that another time. I'm going, I can't chicken out now. We're pulling up to this witch's house, and my cousin has turned off the lights when we were a little back, just using the moonlight to kind of navigate this long driveway she had. And we see this rickety shack of a house, if you can really even call it that. And I'm trying to open the door to we were in a Jeep, and I'm trying to open the door as quietly as I can and just close it real gently so she doesn't hear me. Because, I mean, all nonsense of witches and stuff aside, we're out in the middle of Appalachia. I mean, people will fire upon you for nothing if you're on their property, especially in the dark like this. So I'm thinking, if she's not a witch, she might still, blast me. If she is a witch, she could hex me or curse me or do any numbers of things, And I'm creeping up through this yard, and I'm just going as slow as I can, just trying to be real quiet, real still. I'm looking for any signs of movement or animals that she might have. And she had this wooden porch, and it had these stairs on it. And I remember I touched that first step, and it made the loudest creak it could have possibly made. It just, on that first step. I'm thinking, oh my gosh. So I try to do the other 2 steps like really fast and light and be quiet with it, and that made so much more noise. And I'm sure it's just because it was dead quiet, my adrenaline was going, but I mean, it sounded like thunder, just on these steps. And I'm just like, I just freeze. I remember standing there looking at this door, and I'm just like expecting to hear any movement. I'm listening from any movement in the house. Like, did she hear me? Is she moving? This house is not that big, I thought I heard a little something, but I'm thinking it's just the steps settling underneath me, the wooden porch settling underneath me. So I creep up to that door. And I was going to knock on it real hard so Danny and Cody could hear that I knocked on it, and then I was going to just haul ass back to the Jeep. That was the plan. That was how it was supposed to go. What happened next was one of the most frightening things that ever happened in my life. I go to hit that door, and I go, boom, boom. And on that second boom, the door just flies open. And not like somebody pulled it open. Like it was just an old rickety door, and my thudding on it, it just knocked the door open. And when that door comes open, probably 6 to 8 feet in front of me is this old woman, eyes big as saucers, mouth wide open, and she's butt naked. Just a, fatter old lady, just butt naked, head to toe. You see it all. The moonlight just illuminated her. There was no lights in that house, and she was pale as a ghost. And I mean, she's just going, grandma knockers and all. And I just freeze. And about the time I'm about to turn and run, just as loud as she can for, I don't know, it felt like a long time. You know, they say when adrenaline's going, it seems like a small second is like a long time. This seemed like a long time, and I truly think it was. I don't know, but it was like I was just frozen. I didn't say anything. I didn't scream. I mean, I could literally feel my knees about to give out. Like it felt like everything was leaving me. And for a split second in my head, I'm thinking she's like stealing my soul somehow. Like she's doing something to me, because I've never felt that way in my entire life. Still to this day, I've never felt that way. I've never felt that kind of terror and fear and regret and sorrow and just all at once, just all these emotions. And the next thing I know, like I'm thinking like, Danny, Cody, somebody help me. Somebody get me. And I literally thought that somebody shoved me, and it was my cousins pulling me and taking me to the Jeep, because they heard her screaming. So she was at least screaming for long enough for them to get out of the Jeep and come get me, which had to have been, like I said, 20 to 30 feet. And I remember the whole time they're pulling me back, I'm still looking at this lady, just getting further away from her. The door's still wide open, and she's just still, just screaming. I mean, just this murderous scream. And that was it. You know, I kept, for weeks, I couldn't eat real good. I couldn't sleep real good. I just kept thinking, like, she's hexed me. She's done something to me. Like, my life is going to be different. Now, older, looking back on it, I think I just terrorized and kind of broke and entered on an old lady. And I think I just terrorized this woman and scared the living daylights out of her as a young, dumb kid that just, I know that she had to have known that she was known as the town witch. I mean, because they did rituals in the yard. And I wasn't trying to do anything malicious. It was just, I guess I was, I guess, but I guess I'm the bad guy in that story. She probably tells all the occult members that I came out there and tried to like kidnap her, do something crazy to her. I don't know. It was just a terrifying time for everybody. And Grandma, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. I know you love Danny, and Danny's been your favorite grandchild. I'm just going to go ahead and not throw him under the bus. He wasn't drinking. Me and Cody's were drinking. We were the bad influence on Danny. Please don't be mad at Danny. You've always loved him more than us. We know that. I hope you continue to love him more than us, because Danny's a pretty good dude. Now, if you liked this story, it was a goofy, funny story. It was kind of creepy as well, but it was 100% true. If I ever tell you guys that the story happened to me, it is the truth, okay? So if you want to go follow our podcast and watch some other scary stories that aren't true or more of my true tales, it's called Matt from Nomads, and you can follow it on Spotify and Apple Podcast, okay? Matt from Nomads, Spotify, Apple Podcast.